How do you take potential disadvantages and turn them into advantages? It's understanding what the prospect is telling you when they talk about your potential disadvantages. So if they're saying you're too small, they're not really saying you're too small. What they're saying is, we don't trust you yet. We don't know that you can handle the kind of work that we expect, or in our experience, it has only been bigger teams that have been able to successfully work with us. So what you need to do is really understand what they're saying. And so if someone were to say, we think you might be too small, you can turn that into a strength by saying, you know what, we are small. And we're small because of the way that we think about doing the work. We don't necessarily think about this as a giant systematic process. We think about this as creating the right process for the right client. And the only way to do that, the only way to be nimble enough to do that, is to have a small team. Now, did I actually convince them that I'm bigger than I am? No. But what I did do is I took their concern, which is you can't handle the work, and I turned that into something that is a benefit to them by saying, we create the right process for each client. And so what we've done is we've just essentially done jujitsu and have said, so if you want big, when you get big, you get the same process applied across everybody. But what you really want is nimble, who can give you what you need. And that's just one way. There's all sorts of other obstacles that come in the way, like pricing. If pricing is an issue, actually, pricing is rarely the actual issue. The issue is trust. So the trust is they don't believe that you can do what you say you can do, or potentially they don't believe they can fulfill on your promises. So if you say we're going to double their business, they don't believe they can do it. They might throw up price as an obstacle, as a reason why they can't. But you really do need to understand what the obstacle represents, because obstacles are almost always some kind of code for a fear that you have yet to address. And so if you get really smart and you listen very carefully, you cost too much turns into, so I think what you're hearing is that you're afraid you're not going to get the right kind of return. And then you've just changed the discussion into something that you can control, because you can tell them how they're going to get the right kind of return on their money. And so the best way to take an obstacle and turn it to an advantage is to actually understand what they're asking. And that takes experience and empathy. So if you can put yourself in the client's shoes and understand, like, why might they be asking that question? Or why might they be raising that as an obstacle? That's the first step you are taking into turning that obstacle into a benefit.